As I sit here right now editing together this video, I realize that in it I may not have been very clear about why I made this specific video now. See, I don't think that. Heather, my counselor, actually helped me realize that the reason that I hadn't done any decorating in so much of the house, the reason I have this big white wall in the dining room and the reason I have all these white unfinished spaces is it's kind of a reflection of me trying to find myself, of not knowing what to put on the wall, really being me not knowing me. Feeling a lot of shoulds about the things I should put on that wall and what all the people around me are putting on their walls, but that just didn't quite feel right to me, and trying to figure out what actually does feel right to me, how I got there, where I started, where I am now. It's kind of a mess, but hopefully it'll start to make sense. We are here again, Sarah Waycamp of Parents Who. I am in a different room today, and I'll tell you why. I realized that before I get too much deeper into this project that I need to give you a little bit of backstory. Chris, my husband, and I started Parents Who 4 years ago. Is it 2014? Has it already been 4 years? Almost 4 years ago. At the time, we thought that this was going to be a business of selling all original children's audio stories. Our kids loved them. It was a great alternative to screens. It was a great way to ride in the car, have something to do, without their heads always being in a screen. So this whole thing of Parents Who, and why this channel is called Parents Who, and why all the social media around this that you'll see is Parents Who, is because this is where this was born, was this idea of selling all original children's audio stories. Something about it wasn't quite right. We had another child, we had a big move, and we couldn't keep up with the stories anymore. So we put Parents Who on hold. Who came back in a new iteration of a podcast between Chris and I. This focused a lot on children, family, but also started to bring in a little bit about marriage and kind of helpful tips and strategies and ideas around parenting and family life. Still didn't feel quite right. Took a break from Parents Who again. The next iteration came back and it was just me on the podcast. I began talking about self-realization, about permission, about grace for yourself, about all the mistakes that I've been making. Still didn't feel quite right. Took a break. And I'm just now coming back and I've decided that I don't know what this is. Okay, so for those of you keeping score, that's a move from, oh, can't see that. Board won't. It's too bright. Audio stories for children. 2. Family and kid advice, which always felt really awkward to me because every family is unique and every kid is unique, and it's hard to give any kind of all-encompassing one size. A podcast that involved Chris and I talking about marriage and date nights and still about babies crying and how to get your kids to eat their vegetables, etc. That changed to podcast, but just me doing it and talking about self-reflection and self-realization and permission around, so none of this felt right. They all felt like individual pieces, but it still didn't feel like the whole puzzle. One piece of the origin story of Parents Who that I haven't told you about yet is that Chris and I always talked about having the site, the website, the business, the whatever this was, be Parents Who ... fill in the blank. Parents Who travel, and Parents Who read, and Parents Who cook, and Parents Who take photos, Parents Who write, and the list would go on and on and on and on. Not sewing, because I don't sew. Although I may, and we would have materials and resources and ideas and videos about that subject to help you with whatever that thing is. Parents that have golden doodles, for example. You're asking, how did we get to a living room? What are you doing now? a good question. Anytime I've ever talked to any counselor or career advisor or read any kind of self-help book about what you should be doing as an adult, they always talk about looking back and trying to remember what you enjoyed doing as a kid. So I did just that. This is baby Sarah. Sarah at 2.5 years old. You know that quote is something like, what were you before the world told you who you were supposed to be? Well, here is who Sarah was before the world told her who she was supposed to be. I used to love, and still do, writing. I have journal upon journal. They're over, I'll show you. Okay, these are journals that I have written in. These are journals that I have written in. Some of them are for the kids, some of them are just for me. One of the books that I wrote, it's called Sharp Stuff. And it has a terribly frightening clown on the cover. This one has all kinds of favorite foods, my favorite vacations, what I like to, I would call these short stories. Swim, weekend, what I do, I go neat places. Dream, what's this here? Like school because my favorite thing is art. My favorite thing is reading. I love reading. I'm gonna get to these books back here in a second. Favorite thing is playing with my mom. I love you, Mom. What I like to keep. I like to keep rocks. When I find a rock, I take it home and put it in a bag. But my favorite things to do with rocks are make things with them. Another thing that is constant throughout all of my childhood memorabilia is that I liked to make things. Whether that be books, whether that be chants when I was a cheerleader, whether that be home decor items or jewelry items or pillows or clothes. I love to make things. Another one I wrote, Lisa and the Race Against Time. It's dedicated to all my friends and the little kids that I babysit. So you can also see a theme running throughout all of my stuff that I enjoy education in children and teaching and being around kids. It's the one with the author's page. Santa's Troublemaking Tummy. This is legit AF, by the way. Look at this. Checked it out. 3 people checked this book out. Look at this. This is 5th grade Sarah. Look behind me, Reed. Look behind me now! That poster may as well be back here, as is evidenced by all of the books that I'm going to show you in a second. Okay. Sarah's very acting in swimming, gymnastics, and acting. Grows up, she hopes to pursue acting as a career. You can't see that. Writing, acting. My dad saved this, and I cannot express how happy and grateful I am that he did. My parents saved a lot of stuff. I'm the firstborn, so I have tote after tote after tote, but they actually did a pretty good job of curating things, and I'm really happy I have this stuff now. Why have it sitting in the attic if you're not going to use it? And I don't know if this brings you any relief or any help or any entertainment or laughter, but it's sitting in my attic and I'm bringing it out in hopes that somehow it helps the world. Okay, look at this. It's written on the back of an information security piece of paper. My dad worked in computer security. Let's see if you can see that. Brighten this up a little bit. This was a business card that I made way back when I was probably in the 3rd grade. It says, Sarah Mathis and Company, actress, Hollywood Drive 565, fax number 555, smile, office 666, laugh. I also wanted to be an actress in my early days, and honestly, I had kind of forgotten about that, but as I started looking through the stuff, creation sensation, how the world began according to God, and so here I am I was on the dream team. I was also in A Pocket Full of Dreams, presented by my elementary school. This one I was, let's see, Beth and Johnny, Sarah Mathis, right there. I don't know how I could be Beth and Johnny, but if it wasn't for acting and being in plays, I don't know that Chris and I would have ended up together. Chris and I met in drama class in the 6th grade in middle school, and we were in plays together for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade together. This was one of them. It's Murder in the Wings. Intriguing. And this one I was Maddie, a fast-thinking career woman. Chris Waycamp was Lionel Upshaw, a famous playwright, very pompous. Then came, I have old passports and I have old train tickets and plane tickets and all kinds of things. My parents started us traveling when I think I was 6 months old the first time that I went abroad. And so traveling was also a huge part of my life. And then came in, check this out, what I found, growing up and liking it. This was definitely from the 5th grade when we had to take that class. So you grow up and people tell you, this is what you have to do. This is how you make money. This is how you have a family. This is where you should live and how you should do this. And it starts to get very blurry and very confusing. And I completely lost that part of myself. And if I would have just looked at my bookcase, I probably would have known better where I was when I got lost in marriage and motherhood and all the messages around marriage and motherhood and being a woman and being a daughter and the place that I live, etc. So on my bookcase, I have home decor books, business books, travel books, children books, self-care books, fiction books, journals upon journals of writing, and shelf after shelf after shelf. And then digitally, electronically, I have photograph after video after. This is one of my old cameras. This is one of my old cameras. This was my mom's dad's camera that I have the honor of having and still works, by the way. This is not one of my old cameras, but I thought it was really cool, so I picked it up, and this is definitely not one of my old cameras, but I thought it was cool and picked it up. I also have globe after globe after. Look at this map! Get to scratch off the places as you go there. It's not in very good shape, but it is here. So, as you can see, there is some kind of marriage of writing, reading, video, photo, acting, kids, home decorating, family. Did I say writing? Back to writing. So what this is here in the middle, I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out, and all the times that I can't figure it out are the times when I disappear and the times when I'm trying to just make it be one thing. And I think I'm done doing that. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. I am who I am. I finally feel comfortable enough accepting that I don't know what all this is leading up to. I have faith that it's something kind of great. I look at this and I feel happy, I feel inspired, I feel comfortable, I feel confident that this is me. Oh, wait, I forgot travel. We gotta add travel. How could I forget travel? This is my idea of a fun pillow. It's a globe. I think I forgot travel because it's hard with kids. Things change, it's hard. Travel has to be in there as well. So it took me a long time to move away from almost all these things. It's taken me even longer, I think, to come, well, not longer, it's taken me more work to come back to all these things. And it's incredibly risky, it's incredibly vulnerable to put this out there, not knowing what it is, but having faith and feeling confident that somehow it is going to help you and that I have value to share. Sounds really, does that sound like elitist? I don't know. Okay. I have to have somebody draw that up for me. That's it for today. Next time we'll be back in the dining room with a big change. Talk to you later. Oh, and subscribe below if you liked this and you want to hear more. And I think there's like a bell or something. So I want to get 100 people subscribed because if I do that, I can do live streaming here, which I much prefer. I like talking to you live, answering questions live, and just being able to be with you at the same time. Okay, that's really it. Talk to you later. Bye.